Hello, good evening. Good evening on this wet, this soaking wet Wednesday. So Wednesday, yeah, Wednesday evening here in not so sunny Rome. Well, it's been rain and wind and rain and wind and rain and wind and a bit more wind. Obviously outside, not me. For the first 2.5 months now of this year here, even I'm getting a bit tired of that, and I don't mind. I don't mind rain so much, but yes, still raining now. You know, every time I put the washing out, we put the washing out. You know, bloody rain. Anyway, what's the point of complaining about weather? If you get a bit of music, it's just me listening to some AC/DC. I love AC/DC. Who doesn't love AC/DC? Keeping me awake, and my coffee keeping me awake this evening. So what's the topic? So the topic for this evening's video content is a reaction to some of the comments left on my previous video, which I'll get to in a minute. You'll probably notice in the list when I've actually sorted it all out and uploaded them all, there'll be a video after this one, which I recorded earlier today, about universal credit and a bit of a sort of some survival tips really from myself, having been on it for quite a long time, up until September last year. Just a few tips about how to try and not get sanctioned, basically, which is the name of the game, isn't it? So yeah, if you're on it, you're about to go on it, you applied for it, you've got a family member, friends, you know, someone who's just started on universal credit or about to go on to universal credit or struggling on it, feel free to have a look. I hope some of the advice is helpful. At the end of the day, you know, I hate to quote what's his name, bloody Cameron, but you know, it's bullshit when he said it, but you and me, we are in this together, against the establishment, against the rich, powerful, heartless bastards that impose it all onto us from on top, from on high. So anyway, I digress. Back to this evening's video. So yes, the topic for this evening is respect. Respect for the working class, which still exists. We're all still here. You know, yes, the traditional, I suppose, what the working class used to mean, literally working class, you know, back in the sort of 19th, 20th centuries into the 21st centuries has changed quite a bit. It's a big sort of debate at the minute in social sciences, academic sort of circles, about what working class really means now in the 21st century. But at the end of the day, you know, if you're unemployed and you're looking for work and you haven't been able to find or you're sick and ill, you know, and out of work and having to sort of survive on ESA and PIP, you know what I mean? But you know, you just have to work for your food and your drink and your rent. You know, you don't have any power in the workplace. You're working class. You know. So it still encompasses all the people it used to encompass. Just that a lot of the people like me and maybe some of you watching this aren't actually literally in work. But isn't that the point? Isn't that the point? The point is respect. And when I say respect, I mean respect from the people, the institutions, the parties, the political parties that are there, are supposed to be there, were created for the betterment of their own class, the working class. You know, I'm going to talk about the Labour Party. Sorry, I'm going to talk about it. I'm sure you'll know a lot of this yourselves. I'm sure you'll probably agree with quite a bit of this, but I'm going to be going over old ground for you. But let's go. Leave your comments down below if you want to sort of get involved and tell me what you think. But well, do a rush of blood to the head. Working class. The Labour Party, as you may or may not know, was set up 100 years ago by Keir Hardie. You say Keir Starmer, then Keir Hardie. Apparently, Keir Starmer was named after Keir Hardie by his parents. So what? I think if and when Keir Starmer takes over of the Labour Party in the next few months, I think Keir Hardie will be turning his grave, frankly. But there we are. But set up by Keir Hardie, a worker from Scotland who was living, subsisting, struggling in poverty 100 years ago, was involved in the union movement, which was a dangerous thing to be involved in back then, of course, and the Labour movement, the international Labour movement, basically eventually set up with help from his comrades and friends, also workers, the Labour Party, the political wing, basically, of the union movement, the workers' movement in this country. So it's 100 years old. In fact, I think it's the centenary also of the British Communist Party as well this year. So both roughly the same age. Obviously, both heavily involved in workers' rights, the union movement, trying to get some parity, equality for workers in the workplace and society generally, and in life. So that's what the Labour Party was set up to do, and is for. Then of course we know 25 years ago, along comes Blair after John Smith's death, and basically turns the Labour Party into New Labour, which was effectively, in policy terms, in a lot of the major policies and the privatisation of a lot of the things that they privatised, basically a Tory light, Milton Friedman, sort of imaged party. You had the Tories and you had New Labour, and they were so close together on so many things. You, me, other members of the working class that have been supporting Labour started to walk away in our droves, basically. Okay, yes, you could actually trace the sort of the start of the slide and the slippery slope, if you're of a certain age, back to Callaghan, and all the problems and the three-day weeks and the power cuts and all of that sort of stuff, and everything that happened there. Obviously, you had Michael Foot, who tried to sort of take the party back to the sort of left, even though he wasn't working class himself, tried to take the party back to its sort of origins a bit more. That didn't really work, because you're in the sort of heyday of Thatcher then, and Friedman and Reaganomics over and Reagan over in the other side of the Atlantic. Kinnock, okay, I'm sure what we think about Kinnock, and him being the sort of, really, I suppose, being the one that laid the ground for Blair and all of that. So yeah, but the real change in Labour's direction, what Labour was for, came with Blair, New Labour, the ripping up of Clause 4. I remember that. If you don't know about that, look it up. Which was one of the central tenets of the Labour Party was for, you know, when it was set up back 100 years ago. So, and of course what happened with that was, you had at the time, around sort of 94, 95, I've seen a graph actually during my research about the drop-off in working class representation within the party, where you can see it's like two cliff faces. You've got working class MPs within Labour and working class backgrounds, just it's like a cliff face, just sort of end, basically stop around then, and the opposing cliff face, MPs from the professions, you know, SPAD, special advisors, that have done nothing else but come straight out of university, colleges, whatever, and gone straight into advising, assisting MPs, things like that. Start to make up the majority of the PLP, the Parliamentary Labour Party, the MPs basically for Labour. So that's what happened back in the sort of mid-90s. Obviously that's continued. The last 5 years with the Corbin Revolution was an attempt, after a fashion, to try and take it back to a little bit more back towards socialism and socialist policies for workers. Really, that's a basic. That's a very basic, crude, you know, précis, I suppose, of what that was about. Like we could have a whole, like my previous video, we could have a whole another couple of hours on that one, but you know, that's not worked. That's failed for, again, reasons we could get into. That if you want to see my last video, on previous to this, I get into that quite a bit. Why that didn't work, in my humble opinion. And now we find ourselves here at this point, and we've got a Labour leadership contest with 3 remaining contestants at the minute, which is Keir Starmer, Lisa Nandy and Rebecca Long-Bailey. And the problem is, of course, if you're like me, working class, whether you're in a job or out of a job at the minute, and you're looking at these 3, you're just thinking, well, here we are again. What's this? Where's the respect for the workers? Where's the sort of the apology to the working class after just ignoring many of the working class voters that just didn't turn out for Labour in December? You know, Labour should be on its knees saying, we're sorry. You know, we're sorry, we got it wrong, we're sorry. Please come back to us and give us a chance. You know what I mean? We abandoned you when we were supposed to be there to represent you. But I can't see that happening. I haven't heard it or seen anywhere where that's really happening. You know, I'm sure Rebecca Long-Bailey said that. I'm sure Lisa Nandy's probably said that. But I'm talking about not just words. I'm talking about the actual sort of doing. You know, I'm not a person who sort of words are words. What's Labour doing nationally here in Wales? I just can't see what they're doing to try and get working class voters back. Maybe you disagree. If you disagree with me, please comment below. Tell me. If you agree, comment below. Tell me what you think below. In the comments section, please subscribe. That helps a lot. I'm trying to get this channel sort of I'm trying to create more videos a bit more frequently now. I've got a bit more spare time. I'll step back from the political fray to an extent. Yeah, you know, it's all about respect, isn't it? You know, you don't have to agree with someone on everything to show just common respect. You know, I meet people every day here, working class people, on the whole, that have been just completely forgotten about by the Tories and New Labour for decades, like me. They say things to me that I don't agree with. I say things to them that they don't agree with. But we have the sort of common decency to respect one another and respect one another's sort of opinions. And that's what's needed. So, forgetting Labour for a minute and forgetting the Tories and forgetting all the two main parties at the minute. And I mean that, at the minute, because the way I see it personally, my analysis is I can't see who's going to be voting for Labour or the Tories for that matter in 10, 15 years, because the voting demographics, the ages, the voting generation is going to change within the next 10 to 15 years. I really do think, and it feels like as well, but I really do think, if you look at the stats and the numbers and you look at the trends of what's happened in December and before that, we seem to be coming to the end of the Conservative Labour stranglehold on Parliament and also a two-party system. I think that's why you're seeing other parties specifically aimed at working class voters who feel abandoned by Labour springing up now. You've got the Workers' Party of Britain, which George Galloway set up. You've got obviously you've got the Communist Party of Britain, which has been there 100 years now. There's loads of other workers' parties basically. Now, how well they'll do, I don't know. But they're there to replace what should be there but hasn't been for such a long time, and it looks like it's now not going to be at all. I cannot see why me or you and the millions of other working class voters that felt left behind by Labour over the past 25, 30, 40 years, are going to come back to them now because Starmer's the head of it, or Lisa Nandy, or Rebecca Long-Bailey even. I just can't see it happening, really. So it does seem like the end for the beginning of sort of slow or maybe quick end. I don't know. I mean, a lot of that depends on the economy at the minute. I mean, the economy's not looking good because of the whole impact of the coronavirus, the response by Trump and Johnson in the US and here have been pretty. They've been in the media a lot, but the actual real response has been pretty poor and slow. Not just according to me, but according to quite a few pundits. So, yeah, I think things are going to change, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens politically, particularly. It doesn't help us at the minute, because we're still stuck in the proverbial trying to keep going each day. But hey, got your AC/DC, you got your whatever else you like. If you don't like AC/DC, try and do what you like and what you love and keep going. Really, that's the only advice I can give. That's what I try and do. I try and try and teach myself my guitar and instruments and listen to my music and read a bit. Well, that tends to send me to sleep these days. It's peace and quiet, and I'm sort of sitting reading. That sort of puts me out a little bit. But anyway, have my coffee, gone cold. But yeah, respect. So, Labour, if you want to come back, you've got to start really showing that you respect your voting base, the people that made you what you are, basically, that put you in the position of being, you know, one of the two parties in a two-party system. So yeah, I hope this is realised. I fear it's not going to be. I fear even if it was, from the vast majority, it'll still be too little, too late. No matter what the Tories, I'm not a Tory. No matter what the Tories are doing to us, don't forget. As much as we might be pissed off and unhappy with Labour, if you're a worker like me, your enemy, your natural enemy, my natural enemy, are the Tories, a party of the owners of capital. Literally, you got a prime minister who is one of the owners of capital. You got a cabinet full of millionaires, not just the political representatives of the owners of capital, the bosses, the billionaire class. They are the bosses, the billionaire class, the owners of capital. This is how bad that's got. And the whole point of Labour and the Labour movement was to fight that. But there's no fight coming out, is there? For us. So yeah, I'm no Tory. I'm no Tory. Certainly no Tory. Yeah, you're not going to get anyone's less Tory. You know, I'm sitting here with a bleeding classic piece of artwork behind me, of course, but you know, I'm not going to be sitting here with videos of me with Shay behind me each time, telling you what a wonderful job Boris, Bullingdon Boy, Billy Bunter Johnson's doing. Yeah, it's great at the bluster and the bluff and the sort of stage antics. But if you look at what he's doing and not doing, not saying doing, ain't good for you and me. It hasn't been good for you and me for the past 10 years, and it wasn't Labour in charge for the past 10 years, it was the Tories. So, yeah, I think that's all I've got to say. Ciao for now. Catch the next video on Universal Credit if you like. Otherwise, I will see you in a little bit. Bye bye.